All right, guys. I just wanted to jump on. Just got back from the event. Was blessed enough to be able to have a little watch party at our practice. So we practiced before and during some of the earlier matches, and then we tuned in for the end of the card as a group. It was great, good fellowship with the group. We all did purchase the event individually to support the event and the promotion as a whole. So first off, I want to say excellent, amazing job by Engin Terzi once again. Um, the dude has set the bar so high, and it's unreal the level of intricacy and the talent that is invited to these events and these matches is incredible. So we I truly believe we just witnessed the best arm wrestling card of all time. So big hats off to East versus West and Core Sports for everything they're doing. I love it. So proud to be a part of the organization as a whole. So I'm going to get into the matches. Pardon me if I don't reply to any comments. So I want to get through these matches quick. Um, but I'm going to hit the main matches that I tuned in the most for, and maybe just some results on some of the other ones that I took a look at as well. So obviously we led off with Fia Rysick and Rosa. Rosa won the East versus West qualifier. I was able to watch her compete, meet her and her husband. Phenomenal young lady. I think a lot of people assumed, even though there was a huge weight disparity in this match, that Fia would win, as she did 3-1. But Rosa won the first round, which was a huge surprise to me. So hats off to Rosa. Um, the David Samusha match, I always follow David really, really close. I love the dude for a lot of reasons. He's awesome. I love the Georgians. Um, David losing the first round was kind of a surprise, but I mean, I figured he was going to reel it in, get the stop, and then be in the driver's seat. And he was. Incredible control once he gets wrist to wrist hook and gets sunk in there. So congrats to, I think, the 7-time East versus West champion. I mean, this guy's the most dominant arm wrestler really on that card. He's held the title ever since winning it, which I think was like his second match. So incredible. Hats off to David. Um, the Sarah Backman and Egla match. I didn't know too much about Egla. I mean, I know what I know. I know the talk, but I hadn't seen a whole lot of what she's done. Um, but I'll tell you, it like incredible dominance. I it's hard to predict a lot of times the women's matches for me, aside from the very, very top and the known quantities. But man, Agnew looked unbelievable. But it was great to see Sarah on the card. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. Um, so some of the other matches, the ones that get a little bit more meatier for me, are the ones where I have a dog in the fight. We did see Ivan Matyushenko against Kamil Jablonski. That one kind of went similar to, I think, what most people thought it was going to go. Ivan is amazing at setting that hook and getting where he needs to get. Um, but then we'll skip forward into the matches that had a little bit more bearing, known quantities for myself. We had Sasha against Artem Tainov. And Sasha wound up losing that match, I believe. We were still practicing a little bit while that was going on, so I didn't get to follow it super closely. Don't have a ton of detail, but losing a match left-handed, and then having a title match against the greatest arm wrestler of all time looming in the wings, I think is a huge challenge to have to lead off with your left arm. And number two, not even like not even being able to necessarily win, or generate any positive momentum. So I think it was huge for Sasha. We'll get into the Sasha and John match a little bit closer, but I mean, incredible, incredible warrior. And obviously for me, the match that I had the most stake in was the Rustam and Irakli Zarakishvili match. So I know Engin had kind of announced on podcast before that I'd be getting the winner of those two. I really saw this match stylistically as your classic, the best dude on the planet at setting a hook against one of the best dudes on the planet at outside arm wrestling. So a few huge key points to this match technically. Um, they had a coin toss. Rustam won, and he elected to stay on the buckle side. Um, and it turned out to be a fatal flaw. Um, there's a lot of, Todd Hutchings, a lot of other people don't think that the buckle matters, but in fact, it does matter. And we see matches decided that way a lot. Um, so, so we see Rustam wound up losing every match where he had the buckle. First round, Irakli top rolled him, got control, center to his side, wasn't able to sink it in. Um, Second round, we see Rustam with better hand control, able to keep his wrist flat, gain a little bit of wrist flexion. I believe that may have been the round, or maybe it was the fourth round, where Rustam actually finished in what looked like halfway top roll. And to me, that just shows how much the buckle can play in the match. Um, but to me, like incredibly impressive that Irakli was able to stay out of the hook the rounds that he did, because trying to top roll Rustam myself was completely detrimental, and it was the absolute wrong approach to arm wrestling this guy for me. Now Irakli obviously has a better top roll than me, but for Rustam to be able to effectively get top rolled, even if we didn't see his wrist crack back, but he was able to be brought off a center, was something that's super impressive. Um, would have liked to would have liked to see how an actual match went, if Rustam really got to go and snap down. It didn't seem like he was able to do that. But regardless, my next opponent is going to be Irakli, which poses some unique hurdles for me stylistically. This will be the first pure top roller that I faced on the East versus West stage. So it poses some questions as far as where I'm at with my hand completely, and it will force me to train in some different ways. We did see Todd Hutchings have success against Irakli without his wrist. That's not a style that I'm used to pulling in. So there's going to have to be several options and several plans in this one. So one thing I don't intend to do is lose the same way 3 times. If I do lose, I'll go out on my sword, go out swinging. But yeah, so now I have my opponent, and I have the marching orders as far as preparation and what I need to work on. So again, excellent job by both guys. I mean, we're talking about a 3-2 war. So I definitely enjoyed that match a ton. And I'll be looking forward to and enjoying the process for preparing for Irakli. So hats off to you, young man. Moving forward, then we get into Zaur Pazulayev and Georgi Svetkov. This is one that I kind of had picked going this way, and I wasn't basing it off of much other than I really like Georgi. He's an awesome dude. And you never see the guy's wrist go back. You very rarely see him losing his wrist while being top rolled. And this match kind of we saw the first setup, and we saw Zaur setting with his wrist a little low and Georgi posting high and looking like he was controlling the top. And after the go, he did have control. We got the restart. We saw Zaur with his knuckle a little high, matching Georgi up there. And Georgi had the buckle. So by him having the buckle and being able to win and take Zaur's hand a little bit and get his top roll in there, after round 1, I kind of saw how it was going to pan out, because with that, on the other side, on the good side of the strap, that move itself just becomes easier. So hats off to Georgi, man. I guess we're going to see Georgi and Devin, which is going to be pretty cool. And I actually think that could be a really interesting match, if Devin can get to stop. But I mean, Devin's rolling right now, so it's hard to question this guy. But Georgi's such an awesome dude. It's easy to root for him. So big congrats to Georgi. Then we had the Hutchings and Angarbayev match. So this one was the one where, I mean, I was rooting for Todd so hard. Like, I love seeing this guy win. I love seeing him go over there. And I love seeing him do what he can do against these top rollers. Now, obviously, in the lead up to this match, Devin had made some comments about this is the best technician versus the worst technician, which I think triggered Todd a little bit. And I don't think Devin was really being serious, but in fact, Todd is one of the, in my opinion, of extremely high level as far as technique goes. Just because we see him losing his wrist, and we know that he's such a great deep inside puller, but he has to pull with these guys who go outside. So he's been forced to adapt, and it's beautiful because he's able to. Everything he does is calculated, from where he puts the strap on when he gets the strap on, where he puts it on his wrist, to his setup, to the pressures he's adding. And we even saw mid-match, we saw the referee tapping Todd's wrist when it was like this, saying wrist, wrist, wrist. And Todd says, my wrist is bent back. Start the match. I think they were actually tapping him to straighten it out, but he wanted it bent back because he had the strap set and his pronator protected. So Todd did an amazing, unbelievable job at what he does, which is pull in what some people think is an ugly, awkward style, but it's incredibly proficient, and he's mastered it. He's mastered it at the world elite level. So for anybody to question Todd technically again, I don't even think Devin was being serious. It was kind of just something to say that might get a reaction. But Todd's training regime, what he does, how he approaches preparation and actual training, leads directly into his style, which he has mastered. He is, in my opinion, the best human being under, let's say, maybe even at 115 in a hook. It's hard to contest that. We're going to see that put to the test, as he did beat Angarbayev and is now the 105 champion. And I believe he's the 105 champion. I think he's walking around at 100 kilograms, so he didn't even get big and cut down. That's just a 220-pound Todd. So I was ecstatic at that match. I wasn't sure coming in if he was going to be able to win that match, but I desperately wanted him to. And not only did he win it, but he won it like in control. And to me, that shakes everything up. It shakes everything up because we're talking about Angarbayev being the best pure arm wrestler on the planet. So who knows? I just saw a comment about Prudnik. You might be right. I don't know. We'll have to see that match again right now. The other piece to that, too, is I think Todd brought his actual best version of his life, which is at 57. He commented after the match that he's only getting better. So who knows where this guy's at? I mean, he's coming off a win on John where he was in control, very similar, maybe even more control than in the Angarbayev match. But there wasn't too many times in that match where I felt like Todd was completely or was threatened. He seemed to be. There was a few times Angarbayev brought him back over and stuff, but he seemed to be in control. So incredible win. As far as a guy from the West, man, you can't be happier about that. And the beauty of this setup too is Todd already had the agreement that he was going to pull the winner of Sasha and John after this. So now it's an opportunity for him to have two titles, which is interesting because Devin's talked about wanting to have all the belts and everything like that. Now it looks like potentially two of them belts can come to another Western guy. So being that, I'm a Western guy, a huge supporter of Team West, I got to be happy when I see Uncle Todd pulling it through. So that right there segues in to the John Brzenk Sasha match. This one was an interesting one to me, and to me, there's a lot of factors at play in this match. So we talk about both guys' condition. Sasha was right around 90 kilograms when he and I competed. The question there is he going to get from 198 to up to 209? And now we got John coming down from around 230, 235 to 209 and actually deciding to make the weight and make it a title match. How's that going to affect John? We know John has made cuts in the past, but I don't personally know from him how well he handles the depletion and the refuel. I don't know. So to me, these were big factors that I couldn't really put my thumb on as far as making a pick. So I learned a long time ago to never pick against John. And this match turned out to be the exception to that rule. When I was breaking it down in my head and thinking, how's this going to go? Well, to me, I saw it. We know John can pull in a hook, for sure. but how much power is he going to lose on that cut to be able to pull in that deep hook? The other piece that John has big advantage in is that hydraulic pronation, right? And we saw that play out in the match. And I had a feeling it was going to come down to, can Sasho contain that pronation or stay flat with it? Sasho has the ability to slam his shoulder sideways as long as his wrist is flat, coming down through the heel of his hand, slamming straight sideways through his shoulder. Um, so we did see the match unfold, and we did see that pronation get set by John. But unfortunately, what we saw Sasha wear that down. And he did wear it down. And he did win the match in basic complete control. So nobody ever wants to see John lose. I feel like even when you're competing against John, you're kind of rooting for him too. In a way, it's strange. But I tell you, Sasha looked super strong. He looked stronger than when we competed for sure. And for Sasha to be able to lose left arm and then come back and win right arm is, to me, very impressive, because you have to have some type of mental shift. You have to process that loss. You have to get past it, and then you have to somehow turn that into motivation to win. Some people have trouble with those types of things. Not to mention the energy that was expended on that previous match. So Sasha was able to overcome all that. That dude is incredible. First off, Sasha is an incredible human being as far as what his stature, when guys come into arm wrestling and they say, well, I'm not tall, I don't have a long lever, or my hand's small, or whatever, all these different reasons that they're questioning themselves in this sport. Sasha is another one of the many guys that they prove that you don't have to have these crazy genetic legs up, and that even with that shorter lever or lacking in stature or hand size, whatever it is, this dude is still able to hook everybody. He hooks everybody, and he beats everybody in a hook. So, I mean, he's a well-deserving champion. My hat is off to him. Great job, Sasha. Cannot wait to see the next match. Hopefully someday maybe we'll get to run it back here if things keep working. But we'll see. So obviously now Todd has now the winner of that match, which puts him against Sasha. Now, before I get into the main event, I want to lead into the way I see that match going. I think Todd is a master of the weight cut. Something people don't talk about because he hasn't been cutting for so many years. He's been pulling the big guys. He's a master of the weight cut. I think if anybody's going to make that cut and not lose strength, or maybe even be stronger, it is Mr. Hutchings. So we're going to see that match, and that's going to be a real test for Sasha, in my opinion. I think, and I've said it already, and we got a bunch of other names that was thrown out in the comments, but I believe that Todd is the best deep hook puller at that weight. But we're going to get to see. That's the beauty of it. I know Todd and Sasha faced each other at 90 kilograms in Moldova quite a few years back, and Todd won that match. And I know, talking to Todd, he is very confident with that stylistic matchup. And I tend to kind of believe him. I think when he is in there and it turns wrist to wrist, Todd and people don't give him credit for his pronation. He has outward pronation that he locks when he loses his wrist, and then he has downward pronation and rotation when he's in a deep hook. And when he's cupped, his wrist is very, very strong, and it's very hard to peel back open, and his fingers are strong in that cupped position. So if he's able to get that cup deep and rotate, I think, it's Todd's to win. But again, we'll get to see that. Hopefully that's in January, and it'll be on the same card. I get to see it firsthand myself. So yeah, excellent. Congrats, Sasha. And then it leads us into our main event, which did not let down, in my opinion, because of who I was rooting for. But we're sitting there. It's funny. We were sitting at practice, and we kind of went around the room as to who we got picked. And a lot of people saw it the way I did. We felt like the energy had kind of shifted with the trash talk and everything like that. And we saw it in the polls too, that Dennis started becoming a more heavily favored guy as the hype led up and everything went down. And I kind of bought into that. I was thinking, man, I don't know. Is this stuff real? Is it not real? You know, Devin seemed almost angry and flustered in a negative way. I don't know. It could have been all nonsense. Dennis felt, it seemed like um, he felt disrespected to a point where it was going to be motivation for him. Um, I just felt like, man, I want Devin to win so bad, but I don't know if he's the favorite. And most of the people at our practice were in the same mind state. And man, could we have not been more wrong. So if you don't know, if you haven't watched it, I encourage you to go back and buy that pay per view and take a look at it. I didn't even get to watch all of it myself, um, but it was, in my opinion, I don't want to call it like not, it wasn't a walk in the park. Like Devin couldn't pin pin Dennis easily by any means, but when he got control and he got a stop and he started cranking those rotations, you know, into Dennis's hand, he just peel. And I don't honestly, I don't think he was even selling out trying to pin at that point. He was just wearing him out and putting damage on that wrist, so the next rounds would be easier. But I mean, again, it's a beautiful display of Devin arm wrestling on the table. The way he crowds the setup, the way he takes everything away, you know, it's like it's beautiful. You can learn so much just by watching the guy. You don't even ask questions. Asking questions are just a bonus. But he did everything perfectly from his transitions, from working the hand into that press motion, and then to transition back out to the top roll is eerily similar to what Angrabayev did with Irakli, except he did it in a split second, and Devin did it in slow motion. So I don't know what's more impressive, but he finished twice the same way. I was the second round, I believe it was, where Dennis tried to hook Devin out of the straps. I mean, a bunch of people at practice were like, "What happened?" Well, that's what happens when you try and chase a guy that you can't hook, and especially when you don't even have the strap and you hang on. It looked like a flash, but looked like, man, Peter was like, "Oh, the match is over." I said, no, he's got more fight in him. He picked the wrong move at the wrong time. But Devin, again, is showing that not only is he ageless, but he is getting better. And he's getting better at a lighter weight, right? So he's not doing anything crazy and force feeding himself and turning himself into the 290-pound monster that we saw against Michael Todd. I think it's, to me, the fact that he's 255 and he's lean and his joints are now healing up. I don't even know, like, at this juncture, like, if he keeps on this trajectory, you know, I know a lot of there's big discussion about who's the GOAT and everything else. And I'm a big believer in GOAT, like John came first or whatever, you know what I mean? But if Devin continues this body of work, it's going to be really hard to not look at him, at least in the discussion for the greatest of all time. And it appears to me like that trajectory is still going in that direction. So it's beautiful. I love it. Um, I thought, as Devin normally does, it seemed like, you know, things calm down. It's usually the match hype and everything like that. And then we got to have a little bonus footage at the end where Georgie and Devin got into it a little bit, and they were going to pull right-handed to the point where they actually set up. I think Angan wanted it. I wasn't paying as close attention at this point, but I think Angan actually was wanted them to pull they were going to put the strap on and everything. And I guess, Angan, Devin got frustrated a little with Angan trying to referee it. And, and then he walked away from the table, which was good. I thought it was a good hype move. I'm glad they didn't actually pull, even though I was very interested to see it. But Devin did go on record saying, Angan, you are the worst ref on the planet. I'm not pulling. You're the best promoter, but you're the worst ref. So I got a good laugh before I tuned out there. Another thing that I just wanted to share with you guys, that really highlights the growth of the sport and made me kind of feel good about what we're doing. I got an Instagram message and I get a ton of weird ones. And I got it from like what looked like an ambiguous account. Like it had like kind of like a cartoon as the emoji or the icon or the profile picture. And I opened it up. I'm like, oh no, here's gonna be another weird message like I get all the time. Um, and it's a young man by the name of Jared Odrick. Messaged me about East versus West. How do I go to East versus? Where do I buy a ticket? And I wasn't sure. I'm reading through this thing like, buy a ticket. And who is this guy? You know. And I get to the bottom. He signs it with his name and tells me, you know, basically a little quick bio of what he's doing. And that's when it tied together. Jared Odrick played. Was an All American at Penn State, defensive end, and then he played for the Miami Dolphins, um, and then he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he's living down in Florida, and it turns out he and I are from a pretty close area, and I did remember who he was then later on. He's a little bit younger than me. So we're talking about a tenured NFL player, you know, who played, I believe he's a Pro Bowler, has found arm wrestling and expressed to me how much of a fan he was of Devin and the way Devin competes and carries himself, and that he wanted to go to see this event. So I mean, I replied back, "You don't need tickets, bro. You just go." You know what I mean? And I know it doesn't sound funny, but you don't need tickets. I said, "I'll tell you what. If you're serious, I'll make a group chat with you and Angan and get you linked up." So this gentleman hops on a flight and he goes out to Istanbul, and Angan treated him for treated him to dinner out with the guy with all the pullers and everything. Treated him well, and actually after the Todd Hutching match, if you see when everybody's on stage, the gentleman that was standing up there with Angan and Todd, that's him. So I thought it was really cool and interesting. I didn't ask him how he found the sport, but my gut says a lot of this has to do with the hype that's around Tyson Bagent and Travis, and the screen time that Travis is getting. That paired up with everything that Devin's doing, and the immense popularity of Dennis, and everything that Core Sports and Eng and Terzi are doing. It's unbelievable. Um, like the reach, like you don't like very rarely are you going to find somebody who is that embedded in such a high level mainstream high profile sport that's going to find arm wrestling and say, hey, I am a fan of this now. You know, he even commented to me that he'd been watching arm wrestling now more than he's been watching football this season. So it's pretty cool. Shout out, shout out, Mr. Odrick. We appreciate you, man. I told you before, you're welcome at practice anytime. Hope to see you back in January. If you can get out there, it would be super awesome. All right. I know we haven't done a whole lot of questions or anything like that. If you guys got any questions, shoot them out there. I'll give you my take. I'll hang on here for maybe 10 more minutes or so. Now that I got through my rambling. It's all Paul. If arm wrestling can reach a tiny town in Tennessee, it can be anywhere. That's fair. That is definitely fair. Yes, that guy. The guy with the sunglasses, the red sunglasses on. Yes, sir. That's who it was. But yeah, I think it's really cool, man. And like I tried to tell Engen, like this is big. I know you're busy, you know, and I know there's a lot going on. But when the sport's attracting people, you know, from other walks of life, I think it can be big for the growth. Who's next for Dennis? That's a great question. I have no clue. Can Devin beat Levon? We won't know until Levon heals up, and then that becomes a weird factor. Paul, what will you try to exploit when you face Heracli? I'm going to have a plan A, plan B, and plan C. Obviously, one of them would be to go inside, one of them would be to go outside, you know, strap set up, increased back pressure. I think if I can get inside, I have a shot, but that's going to be hard. It's important to take care of people from other sports. Absolutely. 100%. That's where we're going to get the next high level athletes from. It's going to be from people coming from other sports who already have background in something. Just go full on Todzilla. Man, I ain't that dude, I don't think. I do plan on going and picking Todd's brain. Todd's about 6 hours from me. But I do plan on making that drive out there, just picking his brain, and then just getting some heavy mileage on my arm. What's my weight right now? Right about. I woke up this morning 222, so I would say Todd and I are about the exact same weight. And it's where I hang out pretty much most of the time. Um, Paul, are you considering stem cells? I already got them. I went to Florida, I guess man, what, 5, 6 weeks ago, something like that. And, I got these labrum issues. I do not know how that will pan out with the labrum. I still have a little bit of pain, but I was able to get back into lifting and everything. I think a lot of my pain has to do with taking time off from lifting and then coming back in. But my strength's still good. There's obviously no added pain. I would say, I think my right is feeling a little bit better, but these things are active for so long. It'll take a while to know how I fully recover. All right. Yeah, the weight thing, I'm pretty much always like around 220. During football season, I'll usually get fat a little bit, um, but it's usually just not having the discipline in my diet because my days are so crazy. What's up, Brandon? Thanks for coming to practice. My dude, Brandon Elsesser, in the comments. Felt mega strong as always. Looking forward to seeing him get back over there as well. I know he got some other cool stuff coming up. We'll be at Monster Factory on December 2nd together. I'll be there with my buddy Justin Bear and Roger Bailey. So the PA guys will be down to Arkansas. You still think Jason Teal still thinks Prudnick will kill Hutchings? Yeah, I think I, when I say in a hook, I think Prudnick has so much hand that he's able to add a little bit of pronation there. It's still a hook. But I would like to see that match. I would like to see that match and it gets shot into a deep hook. But Prudnick has a little bit more options to be able to apply pronation. It's kind of like similar to like when you hook John, like it's very hard to get bone to bone and stay there. Yeah, Prudnick will sing a song, and I'm sure Hutchings will sing a song back, which would be, yeah. But to me, that Hutchings match was, to me, the highlight of the event, because I think a lot of people had him as a really heavy underdog, and he really showed out and just showed what he can do at 57 years old. I mean, if that guy's not an inspiration, he'll laugh at me when I say, like, I send him a message saying, keep inspiring me, you're an inspiration. He'll send me back a laugh emoji or whatever. But I'm dead serious about it, man. It keeps some of us older guys saying, man, we got more tread on the tires and more things that we can accomplish it over the course of the next 15 years, because that's really what it comes down to. It's 15 years. So yeah, it's hard not to like Todd, man, just the way he goes about things. But he's incredibly meticulous. That's what a lot of people don't. He's meticulous about his training. He never stops training. He's always on that West Side barbell, cycling through his different splits. So the dude has a plan always. Yeah, I think he did pull through him in a hook. Paul, I'm looking forward to seeing you at East versus West again at Monster Factory 5 in December. Oh my. Hopefully we can get some actor pulling in after you mop the floor with Artem. Yeah, Alexander Clark, thank you, my friend. I would love to. I would love to. I don't know if we're gonna mop the floor, man. The young man Artem is no joke. The young man Artem is no joke. And my left hand's not my right, but it isn't weak. So I'll do my best. I'll do my best there. I will do it. I will be participate in essentially any Monster Michael Todd event that he asks me to, as long as I can do it on my schedule. I love what he's doing. I think, in my opinion, I know we got some other promotions popping up, like Knuckles Up and everything, doing like a little bit more professional approach or whatever the case may be. But I love what Michael's doing, and this card is craziness. I don't even know how many matches are on it. I can't even keep track. So it's something nutty. It's gonna be like an entire weekend of arm wrestling, which is cool. And their setup is awesome, and it's getting ready. It's being upgraded. So I'm looking forward to getting down there really and just the fellowship with the arm wrestlers. Oh yes, Frank Lampanelli or Lamparelli. I didn't mention Matt Mask and Frank Lamparelli. That match was was really really good. I mean, I at one point there, I mean, I know who Frank Lamparelli is, but I haven't been in tune with him. But you do not see Matt get out top rolled like that, especially by somebody who has a shorter arm, which I think it was slightly shorter elbow to fingertip. I could be wrong, but man, Frank Lamparelli from Italy, uh, wow, and then we saw in that match, we saw Matt like totally sell out and go into that break arm position and say break it, and he wound up winning that round on fouls, and I think he was going to win it regardless. You know what I mean? But holy man, I mean, he went in, he sold the farm. He said, boom, and went in there. It was like, I mean, it's not a big surprise to see Matt do something like that. We just don't ever, we rarely see him without his hand in that position. Um, so yeah, and somebody just mentioned in the comments that Frank was much lighter too. Yeah, it's incredible. So I'm sure we're going to see Frank again, and we're going to see him. I would think pretty soon. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I did not expect Egla to win like that either. I did not. Um, but yeah, again, I'm no expert on women's arm wrestling. I try to stay up as much as I possibly can, but I think we just don't there's a lot of unknowns between the women because we're not seeing them intermingling in competition as frequently, especially when you're talking about Sarah's been kind of pseudo out of it for a while. So I hope to see her back again. I think she's amazing, amazing person, and she's awesome for the sport. So I'd like to see her back with somebody maybe living closer to the same weight. So all right, guys, been on here for 35 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign out. Thank you all for joining in. Appreciate it. Please, if you haven't done so, go out and buy the pay per view. I mean, I bought it. We displayed it at the practice and everything. But I'm actually gonna go back and catch some of those matches that I drifted through. That's why I like to be able to have them, and then having them and having the real time thing before it gets released on YouTube. Will be important for me when it comes to taking a look into Rackley and preparation. So, Tall Paul, appreciate you, brother. Hello, Paul. First off, you're the man. Can we see? Surprise Devin won. Yep, yep, yep. Thank you for the support, brother. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sign out, guys. Again, make sure you hop out there and purchase that pay per view. Please support East versus West and Core Sports, man. It is to me, it's a labor of love for Engen. Um, he's doing it. He's doing it for the right reasons. So anything we can do as pullers to support him, please do it. Let's keep this thing growing. It's only going to get better for all of us as the growth happens. So again, thanks. Appreciate you. Haven't done so yet. Go ahead and give me a sub. I'll probably be putting a little bit of stuff out here in the lead up to the Irakli match. But again, thank you all for your support and have a blessed night.